All right, BourbonBlog.com. Good evening. We have you know Matty Rock and myself, Tom Fischer from Cigar Saturday. Matty, it's so good to see you again, my friend. How you been doing?
Much love there, my brother. Great seeing you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the missus, and happy Thanksgiving everybody out there watching along with us. We appreciate you.
That's right. Happy Thanksgiving. We thought, as we're going into the holiday weekend, we're lighting up some wonderful cigars, smoking that turkey, getting some great food on the table. There'd be no better way to really start the Thanksgiving holiday with a show that I think a lot of you all will binge over the weekend. Maybe you already have, but it's our honor and just really a pleasure to welcome back to BourbonBlog.com actor Martin Kove. How's it going, Marty?
Very well. How's everybody?
It's going great.
Good to see you as always, brother.
Yeah. What's everybody smoking? We should start there because we're all having a cigar. I'm having a little whiskey. What are you smoking, Marty?
Well, we went to Australia and
Yes.
I bought a box of Monte Cristo Cuban Supremos, the big yellow box, and it's lovely.
Brought some of those back from Australia.
I think they're a little dry, because they're new. I always have a problem with, getting cigars out of a box that's brand new and they're moist they feel moist for a few days. And then you put them in your humidor, and I have put the humidor at 65 to 70, and still within a week, the cigars are curling in the edges. It's as if the humidity is too fast for the new cigars, And I'm trying to rectify that and put them all in a plastic bag with a little envelope of 69 degrees humidity, those envelopes, and let them sit for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then take them out and put them in my humidor. So these are great cigars, but they are a little dry, a little hard. They're not quite as moist as they should be yet, but they're good.
You've just taken them out of the humidor. What's your favorite part of that cigar? What do you like about it?
It's interesting, the cigar being divided into 3 parts, the beginning to light and the middle to enjoy, and the end is the strongest. I like the middle part of any cigar. It's just, I smoke a cigar to the very end, to the last, I guess it's about an inch and a half.
Right.
And I like it just before that part. I like holding that, when it's small like this. It's small, but I think the taste itself. I mean, my favorite, it's like a war zone. You come to LA.
Hey, it's the way it is with Sensei.
Yeah, it's like Hanoi, But my favorite cigar, I think, as of now, is a wide Churchill. It's really my favorite. And Partagas 3 is my favorite. But, those cigars you can enjoy from the very beginning, I would say, all the way through, because they're lighter, much lighter. This is Maduro, it's darker, and it's it's lovely. It's just, unfortunately, I don't think it's really moist enough to be flavorful,
Well, how about that's great. And Matty, Sanj, what are you all smoking?
Sanj, you want to go?
Go ahead, you Tom.
All right, so first I'm smoking a Charisma. And when we talk about some of the master blenders that Sanj blends with, you'll know the name on this one, Marty. So this is blended by Alirio Diaz, the master blender of 40 years behind Davidoff. So in this cigar, you're getting, I'd say it's medium to medium full. The range of flavors you're almost getting the sugar cane and raisin sweetness on this, and some really subtle cedar and leathery notes. I've just started, but you could already tell the burn on this. Just a fantastic cigar, and anything that that Sanj and Illyrio work on together, you're just going to get a top-notch cigar. Between Sanj blending for 30 years and Illyrio blending for 45 years, you almost have 75 years of blending expertise just in one stick, and it really shines through on this. Like I said, the flavor is amazing. That natural sweetness really captivating, and like I said, when you mix those with those light cedary notes, and like I said, those raisiny notes and the sugar cane. I mean, it's a fantastic smoke. Marty, the next batch of stuff that we send out to you, we'll make sure some of those charismas are in there.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, that batch, when Paulie sent me that, I think 2 or 3, and they were really lovely. And the one I chose was blended so beautiful. I think Paulie did it. He did it. I think he blended it himself, but I'm not sure. But it was so interesting because I enjoy that blend that Chaz Palminteri got on a Bronx Tail cigar. That blend is it's light, but it's really lovely. It's really a lovely blend. And
so those Lanceros are smoking. Yep, those Lanceros are blended with Sanj and Paulie on that one. So so when you smoke that blend,
I think Paulie was blending with Sanj. Sanj, even for this cigar that he sent me, one of 3 cigars that I chose one, and it was really, the flavor was very much like Bronx Tail, which I really like.
That's a photo we took.
that and then you did send out some of the Lanceros that were for Chaz. Hey, Tom, Paulie's waiting in the waiting room.
Paulie's waiting. All right, we're gonna make sure, Paulie, you enter studio. I don't see him quite yet. We need to make sure you press enter studio, Paulie, because I don't think you're there yet. So many good people. Tell us where you're joining us from, what you're smoking, what you're sipping. There's already some great questions about Cobra Kai and other projects coming in. We'll address them in a moment. But I am smoking, and I'm going to be moving on here in a moment to one of Sanjay's famous sticks, the SP1014 Black. But for the moment, I'm having the Cohiba Serie M, the only Cohiba that is rolled in the United States at El Totten de Bronze there in Miami. Really enjoying the nice spice, the beautiful chocolate notes of the new Reserva Roja. And I'm pairing it actually with some Bacta Indian single malt whiskey that's been finished in Armagnac casks there behind me, and several of these others. So let's get to we actually have a cigar question. We'll go to a cigar question, and then we'll do a Cobra Kai question.
So real quick.
Yeah, please.
This is what I'm smoking.
Oh, let's have, yes, please.
It's I'm gonna give Mr. Kove a hint. This is PS. So these are your samples that I'm sending out.
Nice.
The first samples that I send, and this is my final samples. So this is look what it says.
Oh, yes. Prodigal Son, number 1. Fantastic.
Prodigal Son.
And then this is the number 2 blend. So I'm going to send you all this out. And then this is the number 3 blend.
Wow, look at that. So previously when Paulie sent me the 3 and I chose one, is one of those that?
No. So that's the blend that I took it, Matty and I took it to Paulie, that I blended. But after talking to Paulie and talking with Chads and stuff, I think this samples, I'm going to ship it out to you on Friday because everything's closed tomorrow. This, when you smoke it, is everything that you want and you're looking for. This is straight out chocolate bar.
Perfect.
That sounds delicious, man.
So I have a bunch of cigars we're gonna send out.
That sounds.
I know when I enjoy it, because to me, I like something very rich and flavorful, but I don't like a big bite. I like something that's smooth and flavorful, and I don't really have, like you all have the notes, the chocolate notes, the almond notes, this note.
Yeah.
For me, it's flavorful, as well as rich. That's the kind of colors I use to describe worthwhile cigar, and yeah, that one that one
When
of
you
those.
smoke this number one, it's next level stuff.
You're
The
gonna like.
samples that I already sent you with Paulie, that this is a little bit more flavor, a lot more bouquet, a lot more sweetness, natural sweetness. So
Great.
this is the one that I named it. What I'm smoking is the one I chose as a number one.
Number one. Okay, I will look for
So-
that.
Yeah, so when you get all this, you'll have all the numbers marked.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. That's wonderful.
My
Wonderful.
pleasure.
And Tom Paulie said he's in the waiting room in the room, so I don't know if you can.
All
see
right,
him.
I will. I'll look in just a moment, but first we have a few questions. And again, thanks again for joining us from all over the world. I see people signing in and asking some great questions. We want to say first of all, congrats on Cobra Kai season 6, part 2. It is exciting. I know a lot of folks will be watching it this weekend, and we do have a question about Cobra Kai season 6. What was the most difficult part of playing John Kreese as an actor for this season? Somebody asks. Mark asks.
Well, without giving any spoilers for the third season,
Right.
or the third installment of season 6. In general, I never wanted to play this guy like I did in the movies, hard, tough, cold. And so when I signed on with the writers years ago to have them write vulnerability to this guy, write him with an arc, let the people know why he's so tough and hard, and that at times he's not, because he has a great love for Johnny Lawrence, and he's just morally convicted to do an experience and have everybody in his dojo experience karate with the style of Cobra Kai. And it's obviously different than Miyagi-Do. And it doesn't make him a bad guy. It just makes him very formidable, very straight to it, and knowing his values, knowing what values cannot be broken. So that amidst the vulnerability, I think you get a full character. And there's a lot of that in season 6. Can't tell you about it much, but you haven't gotten a taste of it yet, because the hard ass stuff, has been written, and I just can't give you too many spoilers because I want everybody to be surprised. But it's very exciting for the actor. I think the actor enjoys playing versatile situations. I'm doing a movie in a couple of weeks called Dink, with Ben Stiller and Mary Steenburgen and Ed Harris. And it's a movie about pickleball. And it's a comedy. And I'm real excited about doing a comedy. I play an ex-husband who's a putz, and I like, it'll be fun. I did a fitting yesterday when I was here. And, it's, I look forward to it,
What,
So you
what will be your
try to-
role in that? I'm sorry.
try to
Say
be as
what-
versatile as you can,
Yes, absolutely. What's going to be your role in Dink? I've heard a little bit about it.
Well, he's the ex-husband of Mary Steenburgen, and Ed Harris is in it, and there's a couple of other notables in the comedy world. Ben Stiller is in it, and it's his company that's making it. So it's see, the war zone here. You're in the war zone.
Hey,
They're surrounding you, Marty.
you are used to war zones, and I tell you what we'll do. We won't give away any spoilers yet for the second part of the interview. I think what we'll do is we'll do a spoiler alert. I may ask you some questions. I may have the rest of the folks ask some questions that might be more specific to actually the season. But for the moment, I do see you, Paulie. We'll bring you in a moment. And I think we have another question from our good friend, Chairman Lai here.
What's up there, brother?
Good to see Chairman. He's always there with us. We saw you. We also saw someone else smoking some cigars there we won't say quite who yet, in season 6, part 2. Are you able to tell us what kind of cigars that you smoke on set in the episodes of season 6, or maybe any of the Cobra Kai?
Well, they were good, you know. I smoked Romeo and Julietta's Robustos, you know,
Yes.
and you know, it's a funny story. When I started episode 10, season 1, and I had to smoke, you know, cigars. I make my entrance. The real story is only just begun, and I make the entrance in the dojo, and you know, it's where
That's
everybody they all think I'm dead and all. That's one of my favorite scenes, and they gave me inexpensive cigars. Really, I mean, you know, thank God I brought 3 of my favorites, but I hated cutting them up. You know, when you do continuity, you've got to each scene have the same length cigar, and these were my favorite cigars. You know, and I couldn't smoke the others because I was getting dizzy. It was a cheap cigar, and you know, from then on, of course, they bought what I liked. So I had to cut up my cigars and smoked it, you know, and exhaled and hit the mark and said, the real story's only just begun, you know. And I felt great, you know, but I couldn't smoke their cigars. It's like, you know, you have to be you have to be very efficient with the prop guy and say, this is what you have to get. You get a Romeo and Julieta, and you get it because it's a Robusto, and it'll burn slow, and I smoke Robustos, so it'll all be very personal and very real. And so in season 6, throughout, whenever anybody saw me smoke, it was pretty much a Romeo and Julieta Robusto. Sometimes I would have to bring my own because I kept them in the humidor. A movie set humidor is like sometimes you'll get a piece of concrete, you know. You know, so it's not, they don't keep the cigars perfectly, you know, but it's okay because I do, you know.
I guess I need to send you a big Ziploc bag with a whole bunch of the Bovida packs so you have backup on your trips.
We need to make sure we
It's
have
really
that.
funny because that's what I was told in Australia, to take the new cigars that are dry in the box, and so that you don't throw them in your humidor, and then you have 65 to 70 degree humidity for a week or two with the new cigars. But what happens is the cigars, you know, the edge is curled because they're being humidified too fast, you know?
Yeah.
So the key is those little envelopes in a plastic bag is what I was instructed. And take it.
I'm going to send you a bunch.
Yeah, take them out of the box, put them in there for 2 weeks with one of those 69% envelopes, you know, and don't touch them. Leave them alone. So that's what I'm going to do, you know. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually do it today because I really, you know, don't want to smoke. I'm anxious to smoke the new cigars, so I go in the box and, you know, and they're not really ready to smoke yet, you know.
I'm going to send you a bunch of bags that we use for events. So Bovida actually has their own Bovida bags with the Bovida packs that we use for the really big shows. So I'm going to go send you a bunch. So they're the bags are great and the packs are great. So
when you get cigars in a new box and you're eager to smoke them, do you put them right in your humidor or do you bag them and let them sit for
a lot of time I let them rest because over the 30 years of me collecting cigars, you know, I have so many that are just sitting around and already seasoned. I have the time to let them season properly. Every now and then I probably don't. If there's something that comes in that I really want, I probably do what I'm not supposed to do and I'll smoke them out of the box. But I try to be behaved and I try to smoke the stuff that I already have seasoned. And when I go out on the road, you see everybody with the fancy humidor boxes and everything else and travel humidors. And I don't use them. I wind up using this Bovida bag and the packs. So those travel with me. It's easy to put in your bag. You take one of those big 50 count boxes, it sucks up half of your luggage, literally when you start. So I've been using Bovida bags probably 20 years now. And I tell you that they're a blessing to take around. They don't take up much space. And you let them sit for a couple of days. They're not going to be as perfect if you let them season for a while, but it brings them back.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings you back to right away.
I'll do that. I'll wait for that.
Because
I get anxious. You want to smoke the new present to yourself, like these Matty, the ones I bought in Australia, but they're hard. They should be moisturized and yet not blown out in a 65-degree humidor with everything else at home, because they'll end up curling on the edges unless they're done gradually, and then for a while, and don't touch them.
Yep, coming from Cuba, taking quite a trip to get to Australia, so God knows all the different conditions they took on their way out there.
That's right. Okay, we do have we'll get Paulie in a second. Paulie, stay right there. I'm about to bring in a moment, but Barber, our friends from the Barber and Cigar Company, they have a really important question for Martin, and that's: would Sanj survive the Cobra Kai dojo?
You tell him, Sammy.
Well, Sanj is connected. He's got a contact, so he would survive. No question. He would survive. A little. We have, unwritten nepotism.
That's it.
All right, so many good folks. My parents are watching. We got Tony Cucci is watching.
Tony, what's up there, baby?
Tony.
We got all kinds of great folks. And give me one moment. I'm going to bring Paulie on. I may have to take you and Matty off for a moment, but I'll bring Matty back. But we're going to bring our good friend Paulie on. So just give us 1 second to do that. It is, I see Paulie's right there. Paulie, give us just a moment and we will we'll bring him on. But let's get to some other questions, because we have some other really good questions, and we'll have to tell you. Look, if you haven't seen it yet, we may go to some spoilers now that will that may disrupt things for you. But we wanted to make sure we at least got some of that out of the way. So let's see here. Let's go to some of these. So again, spoiler alert: if you haven't watched all of the part 2 of season 6, there may be some spoilers.
Put your fingers in your ears there.
That's right. You can do that, or put cigars there. Hey, Marty, good to see you. As we know that season 6, part 2, ended perhaps in the most shocking moment yet. How will this affect Kreese? How might it affect Kreese?
Well, I mean, that's a major spoiler. If I tell you, because it ended, with the shocking, the death of the student.
Yeah.
How will that affect me without me spoiling it for you in the next batch of episodes? Very interesting question.
Yeah, it is.
How to get around that. Let's just say that the same emotional problems he has right now with Terry Silver prevail, and I do something about it, like I've been trying to do something about it. If there wasn't chaos and fighting and the knife wasn't lost, then there wouldn't have been a disaster. But it becomes chaotic when you're dealing with Terry Silver, and certainly at a tournament. So I do master the problem, is all I can tell you, and you will love it. There's lots of surprises, and the positive prevails. There's love and hatred prevail.
Love and hatred will prevail. I mean, this may have been one of the most exciting fight scenes that we had ever seen. Obviously, in the whole Cobra Kai series, we had ever seen. This went on. I don't even know if I clocked how many minutes this last part. It was at least 10, 15 minutes of fighting, right? Do you know how many minutes it was, Marty?
It was at least 10, 15 minutes.
At least 10, 15 minutes of fighting. What was that like? How long did that actually take to film? Because we're sitting there watching it thinking, this is just insane fighting. Tell us about the filming of that and how that was part of it. I mean, I'm sure part of it was scripted, part of it impromptu, because this was really interesting.
Well, it wasn't. It was all scripted, but we two incredible stunt coordinators. You had Don Lee, who put every one of those fights in his head. So during rehearsal, if someone was doing something incorrect and not getting up high enough on a crescent kick, or not doing a forward kick with enough snap, or a punch with enough snap, he was on it. And his name is Don Lee, and he's brilliant, just brilliant. And our stunt coordinator over the whole show was Ken Bearfield. Ken Bearfield is brilliant. He's taken over the show for the last 3-4 years, and very protective stuntman. And you had a kid there, that boy, who was his father, Brandon, who was the best fighter in the Cobra Kai, and he shines. He's the one who gets hurt. His father was the national champion of Korea. So this kid's been around karate since he's 2, and he could jump up, spin 3 times, and come down. Fascinating fighter, fascinating. And everybody was structured to have a fight with someone that they had emotional problems with. So they had a vendetta with each one of the people. Each side had their own problems with. Some had the problems with the Cobra Kai group. Some had the problems with the Miyagi-Do group. Some of the Miyagi-Do group had problems with the Russians, the Irish. And there were specific relationships that were paid off with this fighting. It wasn't just wild kicking and punching. Everybody fought who they had to fight. Some of it was elongated. Some of it was brief, but there were payoffs. They were fighting people that physically didn't like them, and they didn't like the respective other. And that was in the writing. That's all in the writing. And the payoffs get bigger and stronger and more exciting as this show goes on. It's really good fighting, well done, and nothing is superfluous. It's all real. It's practiced, it's studied, and it isn't a free-for-all at all.
Absolutely. No, it was incredible to watch. And again, we are going to give away some more spoilers, but hey, here's no spoiler. We have Paulie has joined us. We got Paulie on. Sorry, it took me a moment, but we had to figure out a way to get you through the smoke and into the room. How's it going there?
Well, I was outside smoking a cigar and I was getting calls. I came back in to warm up with my doggy Mickey, and he's a big Cobra Kai fan. What's up, Marty?
How are you, man? I haven't seen you in a long time.
And I got my special Industry Killer shirt on. Shout out to
I see that Industry Killer shirt, Paulie.
Having said that, I'm about to shift to the Sanj SP1014.
Well, that's the cigar that I tried a lot of different cigars. I tried my best to blend and meld my cigars with something I know Marty likes. We've been working together for 2 years on this. So I gave something to Sanj. Sanj and me worked on something that was fantastic. It's probably going to be one of the better cigars of the year. And here we are, man. And Matty put me with Sanj. So Matty's my right-hand man on everything I do from now on. And between the bourbon and the cigars, I think we're going to be very happy, and it's going to be pretty much insane. It's going to be an insane ride. We got some great partners in this, and me and Mickey are excited.
Well, that's
we got to get a Mickey dog shirt, right? That has Industry Killer on it for Mickey. I see Mickey eyeballing the shirt.
Well, I'm a Frasier fanatic. I love Frasier, everything Frasier. I go to sleep every night watching Frasier. And so I had to get myself an Eddie. I don't know if anybody knows the show. They have a dog named Eddie, so I got myself an Eddie.
That's the Eddie. How does he enjoy the cigars?
Jack Russell's a smart dogs, man.
He was a rescue. I got him during COVID. So we got very lucky with this dog. And hopefully, Marty, December 10th week, are you up for going to see Moulin Rouge in New York City?
Well, I've seen it 5 times. I saw it.
I saw it this
saw it.
past year. It was good.
I saw it 3 times on Broadway, and once in Tampa, and once in Nashville, just before I left for Australia. And it was really, I mean, I'm an addict when it comes to Moulin Rouge. But I'm shooting this movie on the 11th, so that whole week is, I'm shooting with Ben Stiller and Mary Steenburgen and a whole group doing a movie about. It's pretty funny about pickleball, and so it's a comedy. So I've got to be in LA, but I would definitely, believe me, I would definitely be there. Moulin Rouge is the best musical I've seen forever. Has anybody gone to see Wicked yet? The movie?
Have you seen it?
No. My daughter,
I've seen the play a couple of times. We haven't gone to see it yet. But the missus is very excited about it.
well, Moulin Rouge is so special. That's why I've never gone to see a play 5 times. I mean, 3 times on Broadway, once in Tampa when I was shooting, and once in Nashville. And in Nashville, they were so sweet. They gave me a meet and greet with the cast on the stage afterwards, and it was so much fun. So much fun, and I mean, it's written by a man named John Logan, and Baz Luhrmann directed the movie, but I think John directed the play, and it's brilliant. Here's a guy who wrote Sweeney Todd, he wrote The Gladiator, he wrote that TV show with Eva Green called Penny Dreadful about vampires. The guy's a genius, and it's such a pleasure to watch it any place. I'd go back to New York and watch it. If I was free that week, you'd count me in. I'd be there.
Well, you'll be here one day, and we'll take you. We've been trying to get me to go see that show for a couple of years now, so I got to get over there.
Yeah,
I'm a Broadway guy. I don't know why I haven't seen that show yet.
It's a great show. Just go. Just pick yourself up and go. And then when I get there, we'll go again, because it's that good. It's really that so creative.
Now, Marty, I saw when you were in Australia. You were filming some in Australia, right? Or were you just traveling?
Well, we were doing a lot of promo in Australia. We were doing a couple of Comic-Cons. I was doing talk shows there. That's Big Today show. And I took the kids, Jesse and Rachel. And Jesse did a lot of signings. And we were in Adelaide and Melbourne and Brisbane and Sydney. And it was exhausting, completely exhausting. But we had a great time, and we have a lot of friends there. I was married to my ex-wife is from Christchurch, so we have lots of people from Sydney that we know. And it was marvelous. It was, I love Australia. I love the people there. They have this wonderful joie de vivre. And they have, I wish LA was more like any one of the cities in Australia, because it's just not as cryptic. Everybody is easier going there, and they're just as creative, just as exciting. I tried to raise money to do a Western there years ago when I was doing Hercules, and I went there and I was working in Auckland, and then I made a trip to Sydney to try and raise money to do a Western, and you needed an American distributor, and they would have jumped on in Australia if I had one. But it was just, I had met with my friend George Miller, who directed the Road Warrior movies and Witches of Eastwick and a lot of good pictures, And I said to him, could I make a living here? This goes back to 95, I think. Could I make a living here? And he says, you won't make as much money, but you'll have a better quality of life. And I never had the courage, to just pick myself up leave LA and go. And I should have, because I really, Billy Thorpe and was a friend of mine who was a rock and roller, major player in the rock and roll scene there. He's unfortunately passed on. But I got a chance to see all the old friends. I adore Australia. Love it.
We'll talk about the Westerns here in a moment, but again, for those of you who are just joining, and I see a lot of you sharing the video, we're talking with actor Martin Kove and friends here on BourbonBlog. We are live, so ask questions down below and take a moment and like this video and share it with your friends, because we know there's so many Cobra Kai fans here and just fans of everything that that Marty's done over the years. One of the things I saw that you had done in Australia was a screening of the original Karate Kid, because we are this year celebrating 40 years of Karate Kid. Let's talk about for a moment, looking back on the 40 years and looking now at just how much Karate Kid, Cobra Kai has grown. What's that been like for you the last several years, seeing this grow and getting everybody back together?
Well, Ralph just got his star on the Walk of
Yes.
Fame a couple of days ago. 2 days later, I got my walk on the Western Star of Western Stars.
Very nice.
And it's really interesting. I mean, 40-year phenomenon. And if it wasn't for the good writing of Cobra Kai, you wouldn't have the kids would watch Cobra Kai, the family, the older people, their parents say, would you like to watch the movie that we grew up on with these same characters? And the fact that we're the same three characters that were in the movie is a novelty. So the kids watch the movies, love them, and then ultimately the parents watch the TV show, and it becomes a family event, and there's no family events on TV. So it becomes very, very successful. And it's a phenomenon. It truly is. And, when's the last time you saw three people star in a movie, and then they're on TV and they look the same,
Well, it's amazing. You're using the L word, right? That's legacy. When you're talking 4 decades, where do you see legacies like that anymore, right? You're talking about realms of The Godfather and stuff of that nature. When you create a legacy like that, and I think that's what's so intriguing about all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you think about bringing back these, everyone from Chosen to Silver to Kreese, I mean, as far as I know, bringing this back this many years later, I mean, I don't think anyone's ever done it quite like this before, have they?
No, and it's quite interesting, and I think it's all based on good writing. I think if you everybody's always tried to do another Karate Kid and another, there's one coming out in May with Ralph and Jackie Chan. But they're never the same as the Karate Kid, because they're not the fish out of water. The one with Jaden Smith was a good movie. Will made a good movie, and it made money. But it's very hard to become. I think the only sequels that were ever good, my friend Sly, I think Rocky 2, Rocky 3 was good. And I think Godfather 2 was as good as Godfather 1, But it is hard to equal a remake with any budget. It's hard. Even Star Wars, the first Star Wars is classic,
Right.
Sure, it's dated. Some of the sci-fi is dated, but it's just terrific, I think Road Warrior, as much as I, like maybe the third and the fourth are interesting, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and Road Warrior doesn't, for that kind of movie, they're great. How do you beat Tina Turner? I mean, it's just terrific, and all the terrific, scenes in the original Road Warrior. It's just fantastic.
What's it like for you when each of these seasons have been released? Do you sit down and watch them? Do you have a certain way you go about taking them in? How do you do that?
I don't even like myself, It's like, you watch yourself, and I think Charlie Bronson, Johnny Depp, they never went to see their movies, and it's hard because you get critical of yourself. You think you could have done this better, you could have done that scene better. The emotional, vulnerable scenes, which I can't really talk about, but the ones that have happened, for me, are the greatest reward. The scene in the men's shelter with Billy, I think in season 2, you know, the emotional stuff that goes on um, before we careen through the window in season 3 with Ralph, all that. The real vulnerable stuff I like the best. I like the tender moments, and I just do. And these scenes now that like this comedy doing Dink, I look forward to that more than a shoot 'em up. I've done it. It's fun. It's fun to go in that other direction because you've done a lot of these. You've used guns and rocket launchers and stunts. I look back at some of these old movies like White Line Fever, this trucking movie I did, and I see where I jumped off. I get punched and I jumped off the end of a truck. And instead of just falling down, I would loft myself up in the air to impress the director because I didn't have enough lines. It was 1975 and I was just learning. I was just getting in the business, and I figured, well, I'll really do this stunt over the top. And I would do it. And you see why your arm hurts, why your shoulders messed up, why lower back. You look and say, that's how I hurt my lower back. That's why I had to have a knee replacement, because you're trying to do your best, So now if I do an action scene, I'm a domino. I just go pop,
Yeah, minus the pain factor when you can.
Well, you just make sure you got a lot of knee pads and elbow pads, and you do it as well as you did it 25 years ago, but you just pad up.
The next movie I'm going to produce, a television show, is going to be my partner Chaz Palminteri and Martin Kove. They're going to do The Odd Couple. I think that would be a great. What do you think? What do you think, Marty? I'm going to produce The Odd Couple, maybe off Broadway, and we'll take it Broadway, then maybe LA theater.
I love to do The Odd Couple. It's such a funny. I mean, he wrote such a beautiful play, and it's really funny. And Chaz is such a wonderful actor, So doing it with him would be a gas. And we go back to the same kind of roots in the early '70s, and walking around. He did what I've always wanted to do. He's got that discipline to write. He's able to write The Bronx Tale and all these other things. I tried to write a Western years ago, and I didn't have my life was too rich. I didn't have the discipline to lock myself in a room with a piece of white paper and a computer and go for it. I'd stare at this white paper forever, and yet
He's doing it this week. He's doing it this week. You can't even call him. He's got a December 6th deadline, and he said, Paulie, I'll see you Sunday. We have a show to do together, but then he says, but I can't talk. He goes, I'm locked up. He's to the tilt right now with writing something, and the 6th is the deadline. So I don't even know how to be under pressure like that. That's insane. That's insanity. Kind of like what me and Sanja doing right now. We're kind of like to the pressure point of like getting these things perfect with the prodigal son.
Everybody has a forte that they try to operate as perfectly as they can. Everybody has different things. Talk to a baseball player, but his forte is probably making sure his swing is just as rich and perfect as possible, and that he's not stepping in the bucket. And same thing with a quarterback. That a quarterback makes sure that every time he throws, it's a spiral. There's things that you do. As an actor, you just try to create a backstory to every character you you do, even though it's not written, these backstories of the background you came from and why you have this relationship with Mr. X or Mr. Y. Where did that relationship come from? You often write all that stuff in between lines for yourself. So that's the homework that we do, you know. And if you're rich enough to shut out the rest of the world and create your forte in the house and lock the door and create writing, great writing, God knows what a gift that is. It's a gift. It's a gift.
Well, for the what wasn't written, perhaps when you started, even in the original Karate Kid, what was the backstory for Sensei Kreese? Whenever you started it, you continued it. What wasn't written? What was that backstory for you?
Well, you know, I mean, I didn't really write a lot of backstory for the movie character. You know, I wrote because in a series you have 10 episodes, 6 seasons. You have 60 shows, 65 shows we had. It was a little easier, but I did a lot of interviews with mercenaries. Before I began the series, I worked with mercenaries. I worked with Army Rangers, created the background of more of a personal background and a professional background for John Kreese. In the movie, because the movie was written, you know, he had just the moral fiber. What I created was skeletal. He had just that moral fiber of, you know, mercy is for the weak here and on the streets. Somebody confronts you, they are the enemy, and the enemy deserves no mercy. That was his motto. That was it. Miyagi Miyagi-Do was different. Miyagi-Do, you know, Miyagi would teach Ralph, you get the point, the guy goes down, and it's over. John Kreese's point of view was, once you get the guy and he's down, keep him down, you know? And it was a little more harsh and a little more phonetic and also fanatical, but he never was bad. There never was an evil bone in this guy. And he was misunderstood. And people say, well, we love to hate you in the movie, but yet in the very next breath, they're telling me they cried when I was stabbed and they thought I was dead in prison, you know? So it's like, I like to hear that they cried when they thought I was dead, and yet they say, you know, we hate you because you hurt Ralph, you know? I mean, or Billy.
You
So
created human connection, right? And when you know you can do that through your work, I mean, that's pretty intense stuff. And to see it and to feel it.
yeah. And you know, it's exciting. It's exciting, you know. I think that
Not to embarrass Marty, but not to embarrass. He had me come out to the Cobra Kai season for the last finale. We were there in LA and we were on the red carpet, and it was something at the Gene Autry Museum, and it was something out of, I mean, anything you ever think about of a Hollywood premiere. I mean, this was on steroids. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of fans were lined up. And when Marty came on the red carpet, it was like Elvis came on the red carpet. And I'm not saying that because he's here. It was insanity. So I was with my son, and my son loves Marty very much. We're there, and I'm like, this is LA. This is what it's about, man. And Marty is the fucking star. And I don't care what anybody says. Look at this, man. They're going crazy for this dude. Now we go to an after party, and it was very Hollywood, very hidden location. You couldn't get in if you were, you know, the president's kid. We come out at 2:30 in the morning, and he has fans, and nobody knew where this party was, lined up in TMZ, lined up for Marty as we come up for Marty, no one else, coming out with all his merchandise, with all his stuff. And my son, you know, he's innocent, 15. He looks at him, he goes, well, how do they know you're here? Marty looked at him and goes, they know, they find out. I mean, so that was pretty intense. That's a star. That's icon. That's American icon right there.
Yeah. Like you said, like we were talking about, think of 40 years. That's
That's
insane.
40 years this year. Yeah.
But you just don't think about it. You, as an actor, you don't think about it, and you just move on. They're doing a book on me, and I never thought I was book material. I said, Marlon Brando, Anthony Hopkins, they're all book material, And then, and the writer and the agent said, no, we want to do this because you're 50 years in the business, you've never done anything else, and you come from Brooklyn, and you come from the father being a hardware retailer, and your mother was a bookkeeper, and you don't come from Hollywood roots, and you managed to do it. I don't know what do it means, but the interesting thing for me was these writers, they go back and they bring up all the credits that you did over the years, things you don't look at anymore, things you just look at, like I look at The Dink coming up in 2 weeks.
Yep.
You look at projects in the future, Prodigal Son, to do a Western with my son. That's what I look forward to. It's interesting how the artist never looks back to see what he's accomplished. And these writers just made that possible for me to say, wow, I did that, and I did that, and I did, 8 TV shows and 3 movies in the first year. And I don't think about that. You don't think about it. You think about the project in the future and what you can do to embellish that role and what your responsibility is to act and make it as good as you did Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, whatever, So it's fascinating that it allows you to look back and give yourself some credibility that it's really okay to look back in some of that and say you have accomplished X, Y, and Z, because as artists, we're always looking in the future,
That's right. And there are so many, we obviously love Cobra Kai, Karate Kid franchise. There are so many projects you're doing. You mentioned Dink, the ones with Jesse. We're going to have Jesse on in the very near future. But when I saw you in Louisville about a year and a half ago, we sat down, had a cigar. You were working on a movie there about the first female wrestler, a few other projects. Do you want to talk about any of those?
Yeah, they got a great review in the Ash Avildsen. Ash Avildsen is the son of John Avildsen, and John directed Rocky and Karate Kid movie.
Yeah,
and this was Queen of the Ring, and it got a great review. Just started in the circuit in Fort Lauderdale, and I think it premieres in February. And it's really terrific, and they singled me out in this review, which was charming because I just wanted to be part of something Ash was doing because, he made the movie himself, and it was a very well done picture. And it was a story of a woman that you wouldn't normally pay attention to. You don't know how hard women worked. Years ago, I did Cagney and Lacey for 6 years. And oddly enough, it could never come out because I played a chauvinist. But I've always felt a woman could do everything a man can do. And my mother was the most dominant person in my family. And I was the only child. And she handled pretty much everything. But that point of view could never be exercised in Cagney and Lacey because I played a chauvinist. And half the time, no one would ever believe that concept, that I felt that way, But here you are, Queen of the Ring, and and I'm the promoter who gives her a shot in, I think it's Michigan, because they did not allow female wrestlers in California. They didn't allow them in the 50s in New York. They did not allow female wrestlers pretty much anywhere. And this was a state that I controlled, and I was a promoter. And I felt really privileged. So that ethereally, for me, it was a payoff to actually give her a shot. And then, of course, she goes all the way and becomes the first multi-millionaire female wrestler. So I was very eager to work in his movie, and he's a good director. This cough you hear is this Kansas City 31-degree weather that I did last week. 31 degrees that I'm in short sleeves with my son doing LAPD. You know, I mean, it just, and and we're doing this movie right after Australia. So I was like, God knows, I need to hibernate. And, and you go back to Nashville and you're good for a few days. Then you got to go back here and do the dink, So it's like, I'm full of gratitude, but I'm wasted.
Well, it means a lot to have you on, and obviously, Queen of the Ring. So many Dink is coming up. So many other great projects. You're really doing a lot in the Western world. You've been honored there. So many good things to look forward to.
Oh yeah, there's good things. One just needs to live through. You just need to be able to, be with the kids, be with the family. It's the values change a lot, as we all know, as we get older. But, to me, family is the most important thing. The fact that I could take my daughter with us to play in Australia, because she doesn't get a chance to do what Jesse and I do. He'll run. If we're doing a movie together, great. If not, he'll come with me anyway. I mean, he always liked, like he was 10 years old and I took him to India to do a movie, and he just jumped at it. He was going to school in Beverly Hills, and he said, "Yeah, I'll go." And I said, "But you're going to have to miss school." He says, "Oh, I don't care." My daughter was, "Oh no, Daddy, I can't go." We went to Nepal, Kathmandu, washing elephants in a creek. It was incredible. She missed out, because she was a girl who wanted to stay in school. So now I took her to Australia, and it was great. She had a great time and got a taste of what the world's like out there,
That's awesome. When you could share what you're doing with your family and have them by your side. I mean, that's pretty special.
Yeah, it really is.
So many great people. So many of you all join us tonight, having cigars, telling us what you're sipping as we go into the Thanksgiving weekend. We're just we're really thankful to really all be together. We really appreciate you spending some time with us tonight, Marty.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, brother. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and we can't wait to see what happens next in Cobra Kai. Obviously, we can't talk a whole lot about it, but it's you told me this back in a year and a half ago. This might not be the end, and this isn't the end. This there's going to be a little bit more to come, isn't there?
Yeah, you'll get you have that cliffhanger that happened, so they're not going to leave you just with that. It's really, it's very well written, and the payoffs are there, and everybody will be pleasantly surprised, and you'll have a good time watching it. I bumped into people when I think the show aired the week I was there in Australia and internationally, and these people binge it and then watch it again and again and again, and it's very exciting. I've been, Cagney and Lacey was canceled twice, and yet it was quality television. And I was always amazed that the biggest imports of that period of time in the 80s were Dallas and Cagney and Lacey. Cagney and Lacey, which had very current issues, and yet was canceled twice and brought back because it was a hard show back in the 80s. Nobody would watch two women detectives. It wasn't the thing. Now, it would do very well. And, and the other import that was the biggest in the world was Dallas. And Dallas was just talking heads. Dallas didn't have crucial issues about life, date rapes and breast cancer and all these subjects that were on Cagney and Lacey. And yet it was also the biggest import for totally different tastes, And Cobra Kai isn't like that. Cobra Kai appeals to everyone. You know, these kids. I was at Bondi Beach, and I'm always amazed because it takes the promoter of the show, the promoter of the Comic-Cons, he'd stay with us a lot, and he'd always make reference to the age groups that liked John Kreese. There were these 12-year-old girls, sweet little girls, holding surfboard in Bondi Beach. This is a beautiful little beach in Sydney. And they're running in the water, and then they stop, and they turn around, and they see, and I'm just walking, and they say, John Kreese, it's John Kreese at the beach. And I said to them, she said, can we take a picture? And these are 12-year-old girls with surfboards, bigger than they were. And I said, yeah, I'm going to walk the beach, and I'll come back and take a picture. Sure enough, I walked the beach and came back, and they were waiting there. Little 12-year-olds who just, you say to yourself that people think about this character, whether they're 8, 12, 20. I get cameos from priests that ask me to give pep talks to their congregation so that they'll buy stuff in the silent auction at the church. You couldn't believe the subject matter I get for cameos to, Jesse brings them to me. We got one the other day that was just incredible. Bar mitzvahs all the time, anniversaries all the time. And I can say whatever I want to say. They say, be tough with my husband. He doesn't, he smokes too much. Oh, there was one just the other day. He smokes too much and he doesn't lift heavy enough weights. Let him, right? It's his birthday, but let him know that's got to be improved. There's stuff that comes that is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and you are there on cameo.com. People can, if they want a shout out from Martin Kove, Sensei Kreese, they can get one on Cameo. Do you have a very favorite or craziest, most shocking or heartfelt cameo you've done that you remember, that you like?
Well, the priest was pretty funny.
Priest was, yeah.
Coming to me, asking me to give a pep talk to his congregation because he's trying to raise money this coming Sunday in the church. And he wants me to encourage them to buy stuff in the silent auction. But there was one this week. I have to think about it. There was one that was I think that's the most bizarre. There's another one, twins getting bar mitzvah. And my kids are twins, and they were bar mitzvah. And, it was really interesting. They wanted me to separate the values and give pep talks to each kid because he's an A student, but he's got to have a better kick, And the bar mitzvah, it's me congratulating him for a bar mitzvah, but he's got to take his crescent kick a little higher, So you get these weird combinations, and sometimes I'll be belligerent. Sometimes they're asking for a tough sell. They'll say, please, I want you to tell my son that he's got to, stop eating ice cream and focus in on going to the dojo. And so I'll get dark and I'll go, let me tell you, Brett, I want you to stop the ice cream, because if you don't stop the ice cream, I'll come visit you and you'll never like sugar again. So I'll go in that, and they love it. And Jesse cracks up. He laughs all dirty. He says, Daddy, you're the only one who could do this on the air, send it to people, and they love it,
Hey, in my head now, I have you going in and saying, I have to sweep everybody's leg in the congregation. Pastor, how many people in the congregation? I got 6,000 people. I'm going to come in there and show no mercy, sweep all of your legs, start donating.
Yeah.
Hopefully he raised a lot of money. I bet he did.
I guess so. I never heard from him again. One girl, there was one girl I did, and she was so moved that they sent me the video of her getting it. So they sent me the video, and she was crying, standing next to the TV that her parents rigged it up so they could see it on TV, and then they filmed it. And she was in tears, and they sent it to me, and I cried. It made me feel so good that this little 12-year-old was so appreciative of this lunatic John Kreese. Whatever I evolved within the information, whatever evolved was effective for her.
From Westerns, of course, to Cobra Kai, to this new Ben Stiller movie coming. We appreciate your talent. We appreciate that you enjoy having a cigar with us. We appreciate your friendship. You and Jesse mean a lot to us, and we're looking forward to having Jesse on soon and to bring everybody together tonight. Marty, has been incredible, and of course, if you've been joining us, we are live. A lot of people have been asking, is this live? Yes, it is live. Your questions have been amazing, and just having everybody together has been incredible. So thank you so much, Marty, Paulie, Matty, and Sanj. Everybody, this means a lot. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I look
Much love,
forward to
everybody. Happy
I look
Thanksgiving.
forward to getting the cigars and those little packets.
We got you.
I want to get. I want to do it correctly.
Friday.
Great, because I want to aerate everything correctly, humidify it correctly, and there's an art to doing that with new cigars, and I've got to master that.
Yes.
All right,
Right
you
on.
guys, take it easy. Take care of yourself.
Thanks,
Paulie.
guys. Thanks for
Thanks.
watching us
God
on
bless.
BourbonBlog.
Much love, everybody. See you soon.
Happy
God bless.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy
Remember,
Happy
Good
Thanksgiving, guys.
smoking with you, Marty, and everybody.
Cobra Kai.